Okay, first I figure out that I am adding up all these ingredients. That is 2/3 plus 3/4 plus 1.5 plus 1/12. Well, if you have your memorized list taken care of, you know this is 3/4, which is 75 cents. So what I could do is I eliminate those two by saying, oh, I could line up these decimals, and that adds up to 2.25. So I already have those taken care of. So now all I have to truly add up as those ugly fractions goes is 2/3 plus 1/12. Now I know I have to find the common denominator, which is 12. This one would stay the same, but this one has a scale factor of 4. So I know 2 must be times 4, which says that gets me an 8 right there. That adds up to 9/12 because that denominator stays the same. It simplifies to 3/4, which is 0.75. So if I add another 0.75 to those two, I then have a total of 3 cups even. Okay, so we need to find the height of this door. This is your unknown, and we'll put a H for height. I do know the area of it is 24.5, which is 24.5 square feet. Okay, now from past experience, you do know that the base times the height, which is these two, base and height, go ahead and multiply together to get the area of this figure. So I do take your 3 times the height, and it will equal the area of 24.5. Then I go ahead and solve it, divide by 3, writing it twice because this is just a one-step equation, and you get H equals, and then you have to go off to the side and kind of divide. 24.5 divided by 3. That gets you 8 with remainder 0. So 3 goes into 5 one time. Bring that decimal straight up and leave it there. You get a remainder of 2. Add your 0, and it's going to be 6. What's going to happen is it's going to start repeating. So put that repeating sign over the top. So the height then is 8.16 feet, because that would be this length from top to bottom. If it asks you for a decimal, then you have your final answer. If it asks you for a fraction, or there's fractions for A, B, C, D multiple choice, you need to consult again your memorized list and know this is 8 1/6 foot. So this one's easy as long as you're reviewing the very first test we did on rational numbers. Now about rational numbers is, you know, this whole circle is representing the rational numbers. So that is the decimals, the fractions, everything you've done so far. Now anything inside of this, they get smaller and smaller. Remember, there were no fractions and decimals inside of there. But the problem with this one is this whole number needs to be in this set, because that is your integers and your whole numbers. Now what's wrong with B is this is a decimal, and that has to be moved out into the rational number realm, not into the integer realm in the middle. Also, if we look at C, you have decimals, you have fractions, and then on the inside you have those rational numbers, which is a whole number. So that one is good. What's wrong with D is those fractions or decimals must be in that outer layer. Okay, so you have to pay attention to the wording on this because it incorporates something that you know but you have not actually done yet. So you need to know Walter's collection is X. Brian's collection is 3 times the number of Walters, so that's 3 X's. Now that means the total of both collections, meaning Walter's and Brian's, is 144, and that is 144 is in the question. So then you just have to solve it. To solve this, you collect like terms. This is 4x equals 144. So you solve it by dividing between the 4 even spots, and you get x equals, go off to the side, 144 divided by 4. It gets you 3. Remainder of 2, bring down that 4, and it gets you a 6. And that is comes out to a remainder of 0, so you are done. So that means it is 36, and your answer is J. Okay, so we've already solved one like this where I told you you could plug in zeros, and that would help you solve to see if it's true. And that was when you had an inequality for the answer. That was x is greater than or equal to. But this one is just, hey, one of the solutions is a -6, so it's on the number line somewhere. So you just kind of solve them, and you say, okay, -5 minus 3, and plug a 6 and multiply it right there, is greater than 10. Now you note according to PEMDAS you have to multiply first. So that's -5. A negative times a negative gets you a positive 18. And just copy the greater than 10. When you solve this, it's just 18 minus 5. So that's 13, which is greater than 10. And you know that is a solution. Now what it looks like when it's incorrect, so you can look at B, -3 minus 5, and you put in a -6 is less than a -14. When you solve this one, you get -3, and then you get plus 30 is less than -14. 30 minus 3 is 27, and you know 27 is not less than a -14. That's what it looks like when it is wrong.